was supposed to do this video, release this video yesterday, but due to like new updates and stuff, and more stuff on new media popping up, I figured I would do it today. So I have mentioned that I am not supporting Black Lives Matter. I am supporting everyone's lives, and I'm supporting United We Stand, and that represents all races, all genders, all religions, and all beliefs. That means everybody, including them, and LGBT people. It does not single out anybody else. But what people don't understand is, so if a white person was probably doing this right now, YouTube would probably mention it as a hate crime, and they would delete that person's account for doing, or they'll just delete the video, no questions asked. And that's the problem with YouTube and social media. So Black Lives Matter is, and Defund the Police is, it was yeah, people are taking it too far. Way too far. So it's taking those two protest things are like taking a complete wrong turn, and I'll tell you why. I'll give three major reasons why. I'll start with one. Police, so gangs and violence activities. So police are like trained to like help stop crimes from bank robberies to house break-ins to for like, and even investigations and such. But especially with Black Lives Matter and defund the police, people are like wanting to like defund the police because like they're not paying the schools enough, they're not paying like medical enough, and everyone else enough. So, but the thing is, we should all be paid equally, because because the main problem is, so I'll give you an example. Gangs have been very active lately in many places right now, and people are doing illegal activities that they shouldn't be doing, from vandalizing to shooting, and shootings have been increased much higher. And if you don't believe me, if you're a person who's from Toronto, especially on Jane Street or the Etobicoke area, so Jane Street is a very like all the way from Lakeshore Boulevard all the way past the highway 407 toll highway, way past there. Yeah, that area is complete trouble. And people who have been to Toronto, or like even celebrities, like Tory Lanez, he's from Brampton though, and even Drake from North York, and even The Weeknd, and basically anyone I know from North York. So people and also Etobicoke, 1 out of 4 houses has been broken into every single year. So I want to introduce you guys to like a Toronto rapper named Houdini. His actual name is Dimarjio Antonio Jenkins. So he was a victim of like a homicide incident in He was killed in downtown Toronto, in the entertainment district area, or in that area, and it and also a 15-year-old boy and a 27-year-old woman were also injured, and they were taken to the hospital and are expecting to recover, but Houdini was the only one who got killed. So if you think like there's no gangs in Toronto, there are gangs. You just don't know where they are. Etobicoke is one of those places. And since they're in Toronto, they can go anywhere. So there was a protest commemorating Houdini, and a whole bunch of people were like doing one in the Jane Street and Wilson Avenue area, which is close to Highway 401. So if you've been to Toronto, you know where Highway 401 is. So there was a protest near there, and a person drove up on the westbound side of 401, stopped their vehicle, and I'm guessing there was like more than one person there, because they stopped the vehicle and then they started shooting at the protesters. And the protesters either had to run into a restaurant that had their back doors open, or they ran away, or some of them shot back with their guns. So in total, 7 guns were involved, from both people shooting back and the people shooting at them. So they should have been like people down there were like, defending themselves would have been way down here, and they would have been way up there. So the only kind of people who are like trained to stop these gangs are police, emergency services like social workers, medics, and firefighters. They are not trained to like fight the crime like that. They are like to help save lives and socially, and also help save lives, but not like not the same routine the police are doing. So the Toronto police, ever since Black Lives Matter protests and Defund the Police protests have been going all over Toronto. Yeah, they have been like, so like, police chief the police chief has said it's not less police, because we need more police to help stop these kind of gangs from causing more trouble, like shootings and other major problems. So also, like, this also goes to many other places. So if you look at police in Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, and South America, there is like, especially Europe and Asia, they take police training very seriously, and it takes you a couple of years, like 4 years, and even like and you have to be like 100% fit for it, and know what you're doing, and police accidents are actually pretty low, close to 0%. So reason number 2, racial discrimination from blacks to other people. And some false judgments. So I'll start with the first false judgments. So if there is a crime from a black person to another black person, whether it be a shooting, looting, selling drugs, or like it has to be a crime. From what police reports have said, and yeah, and then what people have noticed even on the news, that goes unnoticed. If a white person does it at a white person, they'll say it on the news. But then it's just like they'll just deem it as attack at another person, not like they won't specify. If a white person does it again at a black person, it's deemed racist, and it'll definitely 100% be on the news. And if it's black person doing it on a white person, they'll just show it as, oh, the black person was just defending themselves, or they're innocent. And what I've seen most, especially in the media, black people have no problems with Mexicans, but they are people have been in general have been discriminative against any white people who have been slaves, owners, or descendants of one, or they don't like Asians. And then, and especially which leads to the racial discrimination against others. So even like some black people are actually like going against Black Lives Matter, because it's just taken a wrong turn. And so some people are black and they have not had to deal with racism because they actually had a good education and they did good, and they didn't do anything bad. And so hate against white people is not that strong, but yeah. The issue is, especially with coronavirus happening and going on right now, and basically anyone who has a cough or like has the coronavirus symptoms are like most people are the most likely to be picked on, and especially because the coronavirus happened in Wuhan, China, and still people have the thoughts that, so like basically anyone who's Asian is related to China or is Chinese, and yeah, and people are like so uneducated. So it's like, the racial with the crimes that people don't understand, think black crimes against crimes involving black person against another black person is nothing, but like, and then especially if it deals with the police or basically any other race, yeah. they'll use a minority against them, and it's not fair. Sure, I've known some nice black people. I knew a girl from back from elementary school, and she went to another school, and I've seen her once at the high school she was at, and that was it. Just once, and that was it. And there was a guy from Central America, also a nice customer. Like to serve him. Always played the same lotto tickets. Went back to where he came from. Said life was easier there, because he would be richer there. And the judgment with people thinking blacks aren't racist, and with Black Lives Matter, they're like, oh, so, and then it's basically giving the thought that all black people are being are being at a minority when they're not, and some people have not been dealt with racist or don't believe in racism. So that includes people have been speaking out against this, and including Daryl Anderson, Prince E, Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, Wale, ASAP Rocky, and several other people. And Little Boozy, and a couple other women too. All black, and they're all black people against Black Lives Matter. So it doesn't always have to be have to involve like shootings and police brutality for it to be like a racist thing or a hate crime, because yeah, people aren't caring about like what's happening to the Mexicans right now at the U.S. Mexico border, and ICE is just they're evil. Asians, racism has a sort of decreased, but still people are like hating Asians for being different. And don't get me started on what happened in Koreatown in Los Angeles. Koreans went over from South Korea to LA and made Koreatown an area with when black people were living there, and it was like slum, with a slum neighborhood. They made it better, and I guess they didn't like it, and then this also goes with police as well, and so let's just say we call it the K-Town riot or the Koreatown riot. So I've argued with someone about this, and I will not mention his name for privacy reasons. But making of a certain area of a neighborhood better to live in is better than just living in a slum neighborhood. So, and even the police got involved, and it was brutal. It's like people don't seem to care anymore. It's like they only care about themselves, and they don't care about other races. And the focus right now is with people right now in media is Black lives and LGBT black people. And it's fair that it's LGBT month, but if you are like literally trying to like single out on trying to make another race sound better than it actually is, because all races are equal and people need to understand that. So you won't see this kind of stuff on the news. So only like YouTubers will be like doing this kind of stuff, whether no matter what gender like race they are, and yeah. So reason number 3. Violence, vandalism, and looting. Also considered a crime. So you probably see it on media all the time. Black Lives Matter this, Black Lives Matter that, this. You see it 24/7. But what you don't see is the people affected by it. So, especially with the Black Lives Matter, like people protesting, people have been doing it using violent protests, say like vandalizing statues and monuments, or taking them down. You can't erase history. You gotta understand that. So you have to learn from it, and make sure the same mistakes don't happen again. So with vandalism and looting, so of course spray painting was also one of them, and looting. So especially people have been, though there are like good business owners who are white, black, native, Mexican, white but they speak another language, Asian. They're all good, like and a whole bunch of them. So I'm gonna like remind you of what happened with Mr. Kim's business. No, Kim was he was a clothing store owner. And when I say was, he wasn't killed or anything. So he was owning a clothing store in Chicago, Illinois, and a Black Lives Matter protest was going on in Chicago, and people were looting shops everywhere. And his shop, his clothing store was one of them. So he even told the protesters not to do it. He eagerly said it. People didn't listen. They smashed down the windows and literally took every piece of clothing and even in the back, and he smashed the cash register and stole everything he had, basically. Even his dignity to trying to run a store, because when you're a person who's not black or white, racial minority is like one thing that you'll have to deal with all constantly, and it's ugly. No matter what kind of business you run, whether it's a convenience store to a restaurant, to like maybe a food chain, to like a supermarket, even fast food or retail. Basically, basically. So have I even heard from African or Indian or Arabic business owners, and they have also been through the same things, and with the dealing with the hate when running a business. It happens less when you're in a big city, but it still happens. So what happened with Mr. Kim's business was, yeah, Asian people in Chicago had came. Luckily, they came and they helped clean everything up. But yeah, Mr. Kim still had no money to reopen his clothing store and is not going to do it anymore. So people who did like a Black Lives Matter protest originally, I'm talking about back then when segregation and slavery was at its high point. Like people like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and other people, they did peaceful protests. Fast forward to now, and people are just doing it like they're vandalizing, they're looting, they're stealing, they don't care. So this is why I don't support such a movement. So everyone's lives matter, not just Black lives. It's not Black Lives Matter until you actually care about Black lives. And it's basically the media trying to make black saying all lives matter look like a bad like a bad hashtag or like a quote to use. And those of you who have been brainwashed by it need to take a lesson, watch other people's videos where they're talking about like actual equality. So it's basically race divided us, religion has separated us, and beliefs split us even more, and wealth classified us. So basically everyone is equal. You need to understand, people, it's not just Black Lives Matter. Everyone's lives matter. Especially with a tough time like coronavirus and others people, you need to respect others people for what they're struggling through. It doesn't always have to be like with shootings and like or violence or what like segregation. And you can't stop living. You can't solve anything if you keep living in the past. So you gotta learn from like what happened, and because it isn't happening now. So basically, everyone has the same worth, no matter who you are. So whether you're white, you're white from European, South American, African, Arabic, African, Asian, Mexican, or based. Remember what your gender is, your what your religion is, or if you don't believe in a religion, but everyone still is the same, and also your beliefs too. So don't forget, use your hashtags right below this video. Equality for all. End racism. End coronavirus. United we stand. No one is going to shut me out for what I am saying. This time. Enough is enough, people. You can't expect to do like what other people expect you to do. You gotta be unique. You can't just do it like because others are doing it too. It's not always correct, 100% correct. I'm Maddie.